Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of Stranger in a Southern Land. I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. Today in the program, I talk to the Charlotte Roller Girls, and I do talk to more than just one. I talk to 5 ladies at the same time. That's a personal best for me. Normally, I have a hard enough time just talking to one girl, but I talked to 5 today, but it was easy because they're professionals, they're pros, and they are wonderful ambassadors for the sport of roller derby. So this is a very wonderful conversation, and I just am very excited to present it to you today. But anyways, I'm very excited to present to you today all the dates that are coming up from you this week and weekend. Starting off with July 23rd, this Thursday, I'll be there for Southern Independent Wrestling Federation at the Pulaski County Fairgrounds. I'll be there in Kentucky. Make sure you come out for that, folks. Make sure you check all the dates on that and the more information about that forthcoming July 23rd at the Pulaski County Fairgrounds in Kentucky. I believe that's around Somerset, London, Kentucky area, so make sure you'll be looking for that. Also, make sure you can find me at North Wilkesboro Extreme Wrestling this Friday, July 24th at the Klingman Community Center. I know Caleb Connolly will be there. I know George South will be there. So make sure you come out for that. If you just don't come out for me, make sure you come out for those guys as well. Also, if you want to follow me on social media, make sure you follow me on Twitter at ManScoutManning or on Instagram at ManScoutManning. Or if you have a question about the podcast, make sure you email me at jake@sslshow.com. Or if you want to book me for an upcoming wrestling event, make sure you email me at manscoutmanning@yahoo.com. So anyways, without further ado, let's roll into this interview with the Charlotte Roller Girls here on Stranger in a Southern Land.
Yeah,
Is everybody okay? Everybody's at least comfortable for right now?
Probably.
All right.
Trapped but comfortable.
Trapped but comfortable. But
Good. Wow.
and everybody can see themselves on there. So, like I said, this is the most ladies I've had at one time in an interview. So thank you so much for sitting down with me today, especially in this hot complex where you guys practice. So I'm sitting with the Charlotte Roller Girls. Hello, ladies. How are you guys today?
Good.
Hot. Thank you.
We got a professional here. Pulls it right up to their mouth. Make sure you can hear properly. So take notes, everybody. She's doing a fantastic job. She's a pro. But anyways, ladies, it always interests me. What's the interest in roller derby? Is why the interest in this? Why did you say, hey, this is what I want to do?
For me, it was about skating first.
There you go.
For me, it was about skating first.
Oh, there we go. That sounds fantastic.
I skated as a kid. I was a rink rat. And when I was an adult, I didn't realize that normal adults could go to the skating rink. I thought that was really weird and that would make me a weird person. I realized that, that's unfair now. So when I discovered roller derby and realized that there were other adults that seemed pretty cool that still roller skated, I didn't even know what a contact sport was.
Yeah.
I was really excited and I jumped in without even really knowing what I was getting into.
You were just an adult that liked roller skating. That's kind of how you led to this.
It's my favorite thing to do in the world.
Okay, so from the figure eights to knocking people around.
Yep.
It was an easy transition. What about the rest of you ladies? What was your interest?
Well, for me, it was about challenges. I had done a lot of the obstacle course races, the mud runs, Tough Mudder, things like that. And I'd hit a point where I was like, I'm not really feeling challenged anymore. I'm going to get any faster because I don't like running enough. Mm-hmm. And I went out to one of the roller girls derbies and I was just blown away by the athleticism. And I said, this is my next challenge.
Okay. For me, it was completely different. I was not athletic. I got kicked off the JV volleyball team, even though I was 6 feet tall. I couldn't.
Kicked off?
Yeah.
Where they just said you.
Well, benched, which is the same thing as being kicked off.
Okay. Well,
let's.
I've been kicked off a few things before, and it was definitely not because I sucked too bad.
Oh no, I just got kicked off because I wasn't very good.
Oh, okay.
Not good at gymnastics as a kid, and there was something about that first bout that was just contagious. Watching the girls play and the strength and grace. I think it's a really interesting sport, and so I kind of did all of the other learning to be an athlete things just to be able to play roller derby.
Okay. You know, of course, I'm bad with names already. We did a horrible job. I did a horrible job introducing everybody.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I'm Rita, by the way.
Rita, tell
Hi.
me why roller derby interested you.
I too hung out at a skating rink when I was a kid. There was one up the street from my house. My friends and I used to walk up there, and even when they were closed, the employees would let us in. We'd, run around, go skate. I didn't have my own skates, but I skated all the time. And then I saw the roller girls at one of our sponsors out at the Common Market, and I was just like, whoa, there's a sport on skates? Yes, sign me up. And they're like, you have to be 19. And I was like, see you in 3 years. So, I mean, I waited. And I never went to a bout. I never knew anything about it. I mean, I think I saw Whip It before I joined, but I was just like, yep, nope, I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's just like, hey,
Yep.
adults roller skating.
Yep.
That seems to be the theme. Is like, after a point, you're like, okay, I'm 12, but what do I do between 12 and 60? And I still want to roller skate. Like, what do I do? You don't want to be that 30-year-old just rolling around. So, and
She does.
I'm Jessica
Jessica on the
Poco
far.
Loco.
Okay.
I think for me it was I had my second child and I really wanted to do something to get in shape and to lose weight, but I was like, I don't want to just go to a gym. I mean, that seems really boring to me. So I had a friend who was on the team, and she said, come out and go to tryouts. And it was, I mean, I couldn't even sit down and go to the bathroom. My legs hurt so bad that first day. So it was just, I knew it. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I get my time by myself. I get to work out. I get friendships that I made. I mean, you get it all. So it's great. It's been great.
Well, and it's funny that you say that, Jessica, is because I do independent pro wrestling, and that's the thing that I do, and we have a wrestling school, and I know a couple of people that have your story in the sense that, I just wanted to do something active. If I'm going to do anything active, I don't want to do CrossFit and do whatever. I want to do something that gets me out there, doing something in front of people and participating, and that sense of community and stuff like that. And I see people like that come through our school, and some of them really their intention is to maybe have a match every once in a while, or just be involved, and just do the training, but then be a referee on the weekend, which I always find is funny because I think the similarities between pro wrestling and this is you get beat up intentionally a lot more. So if you ladies can time to talk about your first experience actually doing it, like your first practice, what was that like for you guys, and what did you guys do?
Fall all the time.
Okay, so definitely the same similarities between the both. So
Yeah, we have engineered it a lot better these days. Our tryouts are much more, it's a gradual introduction. So you go through, here's skating, here's stopping, here's falling, here's all the things before we throw you into a practice, like throw you to the wolves. And we definitely don't hit anybody before they're ready.
Mm-hmm.
But back when I started, it was not like men and me workshops. It was one day you learned everything, and it was like very sink or swim because you were invited to the next practice. And it was 5 hours. I mean, it was in the warehouse we were in previously, this is a paradise compared to that.
Oh, this is a fantastic facility. I'm
but
extremely jealous of what
that
you
one
have
was
right
so much hotter because it was like landlocked. There wasn't any cross flow.
I don't believe you right now. I feel how hot it is. I don't believe you. So
Tell him.
No, it was
Yeah.
crazy
okay,
hot.
Yeah,
all right.
it was. I mean, like, you dream, sort of, when you're there. Like, I fell once and I think I saw Jesus. It was just that hot.
Okay.
But yeah, August in that warehouse was awesome.
Well, I mean, we're here to practice on a Sunday, so it wouldn't be unusual to see Jesus, I guess. It
No.
is the Lord's Day.
It is.
It would make sense for him to
Yep.
show up. So, but what about you, Caitlin? What was your first practice like?
I've been skating for so long that I don't really remember my first practice. I mean, it was very awkward, and I think that's the hard transition between I like to skate. I can even skate backwards, which was my bragging point when I first started.
Okay.
Yeah, I was fancy.
Was that what on your resume?
Yeah,
Your
it
first
did.
day,
Uh-huh.
you're like, on your first day, here's my resume. I can skate
Yes,
backwards.
I can skate backwards. I can also do but it was a lot of that. I didn't know that there were muscles in my legs and in my core that could be strengthened by these exercises. But
so much.
yeah, they could hurt so much. And then explaining it to everybody else. Oh, I'm starting to do roller derby, and it took me a long time to pass assessments and get to the place of playing. But the first bout, that a girl chest or shoulder to sternum threw you up in the air and then hitting the ground. That for me is the image of my start of roller derby, which was, probably a year and a half into practices, but that really stands out to me.
And
I'm a salty.
okay.
I actually started with the San Diego Derby Dolls in 2008, and it was kind of the same thing. We didn't have these classes for newbies necessarily. Well, we did, except on my first day, because I looked like I knew how to skate. Bonnie Destroyer was actually leading the practice and decided to demonstrate the sternum block on me on the first day. And I remember she's a legend in derby, and I held up my hand for her. I made her help me back up. It was so weird. My dainty little hand came up thank you for that, but you're going to pick me up now. And she
Like
did
a
and made
lady
a face
should.
that I will never forget.
Like a lady should.
Right. And there was vomit. There was passing, almost passing out. There was it was a hot warehouse. I mean, very similar to here. But I remember leaving that day, even though I had failed miserably and we had a bank track, and and I know how to skate, and I remember pathetically dangling from the rail, I was just so bad, and it was a very long road for me to become a bouting skater as well. But I remember that first day, even though everything I did indicated, the empirical evidence was that I was going to be terrible. I was just something in my head said, I can do this, I will do this, and I could, and I did, and it's going to be really difficult to quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah, just don't. Yeah, because that's when your body heals, and then all of a sudden everything else hurts more when you want to come back. So don't stop.
Yeah.
Trust me. I had my first match in a month, and it was the most excruciating experience of my life. So far worse than my first one. I shouldn't have taken that month off. But anyways,
I'm Manisha. I'm not so sorry.
Not so sorry.
And I'm not a bouting skater yet. I've only been in the league for actually less than a year. I'm still going through the training process. But when I came for tryouts, I'm actually not an athletic person. I don't think of myself as an athletic person. I don't have a lot of balance and coordination. I didn't learn to ride a two-wheel bike until I was 8. And I actually had one of the fellow skaters tell me I looked a little like a baby giraffe on skates when I was at tryouts.
Okay.
People still call me that.
No, it wasn't you. I'd like to think I don't look quite like a baby giraffe. Maybe I'm up to an adult giraffe status on skates.
Juvenile.
You're much more confident these days.
But still a giraffe nonetheless.
Yes.
Still a giraffe nonetheless.
All legs. That's what it is. All legs.
Now we talk about your first practices, but I just walked in on the tail end of your practice, and it looked rather intense. And when I was talking to Liz to set up this interview, she was saying, "Oh, we practice on Sundays and 4 days a week," and I was like, "Just practice that much? Is that a year-round thing? It always 4 days a week?"
The training committee 3 years ago decided to have one dark month. So we give ourselves a month off in the wintertime, which now in the middle of heat just seems crazy.
We are taking a little break in August just to avoid some of that heat. And it gives us a chance
for people's
because
safety.
it does give us, when we tell visiting skaters, no, bring a lot of water. No, more water than you think you need. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we are taking a couple weeks off, and it does allow us, we do have a tryout coinciding with that time, so it'll allow us to give a little more focus to our new skaters. And, hopefully it won't be so intimidating when they come back to practice.
Mm-hmm. Obviously. And like I said, your practice seemed rather intense. What do you got?
Well, you witnessed a little bit of our endurance practice.
Oh,
So
okay.
that one is intentionally trying to kick our butt.
Okay.
It was also led by Fister, who is Feisty Fister.
Amy Fister.
Amy Fister.
Who has
is
an
her
amazing
derby
name already.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Never call her Amy. But the point is to really make sure that the muscle memory is there and that our muscles are getting stronger. The other nights of the week, we have team practices where we're really working on coming together as a team, preparing for bouts. And then we've got skill practices. And we luckily have 2 current trainers on our interview panel, and they do a fantastic job putting in hours. They have a meeting later today to talk about what's the focus for the next quarter and getting us ready not only skill-wise but strength-wise and mentally prepared for our bouts.
Okay. So what's your season like? Is it a year-round thing, or is there certain months of the year?
The season is pretty much March to September, October.
Okay.
Our all-star travel team typically in a good season has a home and an away game kind of each month throughout that. There might be 1 or 2 months off. And our B team plays 1 home or away. We have done longer seasons. We did one that started in February. We did one that ended in December. And we kind of told our interleague coordinator, like, no more. March, October, because like we start to lose people at the end of the year. It's hard to get them back at the beginning of the year. Like we just don't have the same competitive team. So really being able to focus that season and being able to like, this is when all our bouts are going to happen. This is when we're going to do our training. Here's how we can focus those practices to make the team as strong as it can to win as many games as possible.
Okay, so I mean, it seems you got a very structure. You talk about like your training commission and your structure of everything and everything like that. How long have the Charlotte Roller Girls like been around? Like how long has it been in existence?
Since 2007?
Six.
Six?
It was originally established in 2006. They didn't really sort of, get their feet underneath them until 2007, and their first game was at the end of 2007.
Okay, so and
it's a skater-run league. I think that's an important thing about roller derby in general is that most leagues across the country are run by skaters. They're funded by skaters. We do have bouts, which are public events, and hopefully those are going to help bring revenue to the league. But we pay to practice. What you just saw, I paid to do because we are committed to this league. We help sell tickets. The president
Bring in sponsorship.
We bring in sponsorships. Yeah, I mean it's really up to us to make the league strong and to get the word out about what we do and our public events.
And we do have a full board of director structure. We have committees. We have sort of task forces underneath those committees. We elect people. We elect captains. I mean, there's a hierarchy. There are bylaws. There are structures. There's all kinds of documents and policies and and Google Docs, spreadsheets. Yeah.
The whole nine.
Yeah.
I didn't learn how to use spreadsheets, and my computer teachings were not there. I didn't learn how to use spreadsheets until I had to make one. And I had Pfister help me, and she's like, no, you're doing it wrong. And I was like,
So that's another cool thing, too, about our league is that we span all kinds of people, right? So when I first met Rita, she was a high school student or a recent...
No, I was in college.
Okay, a recent, which I was a high school teacher. So to me, for at least 3 years, she's still going to remain a high school student.
Yeah.
She was young enough to be one of my students, I'll say that. And as a teacher, it's an interesting kind of dual personality. Pfister works in the banking industry. I mean, we've got people all across the health industry. I mean, it's an incredible field.
I'm a psychologist, and so clearly they had a need for me on the team.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep,
We're
yep.
saving a lot of money that way, yeah.
It's like, why are you doing this? How
does that make you feel?
And of course, the health professionals got to work out great for you guys. You know,
certainly.
You got to
I'm
have
a nurse, so
Well, there you go.
I have helped several people with several injuries. So, and nothing really scares me. I was a trauma nurse for many years and an ER nurse, so I really don't get scared by blood or bones sticking out. So sometimes I help to provide that calming factor when someone breaks their ankle or whatever.
Yeah, so that's her niche.
And we do. It is a place to learn a lot of skills. I was previously CPR certified when I was in 8th grade because it's part of the public school curriculum. But I then again got CPR certified because I'm a key holder here. I opened up. I'm a trainer here. So CPR certification, learning to make Google Docs, organizational skills. These are like all the byproducts. Yeah, I can skate, but guess what? I can do all these other things too.
Sponsorship, I mean, talking, advertisement and just, you're a walking advertisement for Charlotte Roller Girls when you walk around with that shirt.
Because that's a brand that you have to put out there.
And people are like, Roller Girls, what's that? And then you're always on. If you say, I have practice, what kind of practice? Roller derby. What? Roller derby in Charlotte. You're always on. And that talking to people, I think it's been great. It's a great experience.
Yeah, because you're a continual ambassador for a brand, and the idea is to get more people involved and come to your stuff. And that's definitely something that I run into a lot is, hey, I wrestle, you should come out to a show. And then that opens you up to all different types of people and stuff like that. And what I feel is fascinating about you guys is you have different, like I said, you're a school teacher, a nurse, psychologist. You have different walks of life that you can then bring into your sport. That's something that I find is sometimes a problem with independent wrestling is that all these guys, they just focus on that and don't realize to get those people that wouldn't normally come and bring them in and stuff like that. So the fact that you guys have realized that obviously puts you ahead of the curve of a lot of people and stuff like that.
Well, and it's a stigma, I imagine, that you face. You know, people have preconceived notions of who wrestlers are.
Much like, but most like roller
exactly,
girls. So
exactly. The number of people who've been like, oh, you play roller derby? Yeah, I watched roller derby in the 70s. You guys like bow each other. And I'm
that's
like,
well, I can
actually,
imagine.
That's illegal now.
Yeah, I can imagine that's the number one thing.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't that popular in the 70s
yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that?
My parents used to watch roller derby. I mean, and I think that we've really had to establish ourselves as an athletic sport, and part of that's been becoming members of WFTDA, and we have really nice jerseys, and we've turned it into we've focused on the athleticism because it is a really rigorous sport.
Yeah, but also too, like you just mentioned, like nice jerseys and the presentation of it. Sometimes that's the thing, is if you get those people that don't know what it is, you get them come in and you present something that, oh, they have nice jerseys.
Right.
This is set up. Just even walking in this facility, it's like, oh wow, this is a real thing.
Yeah.
This isn't them just skating around an abandoned warehouse.
Right.
Like I didn't know quite what to expect. I was like, I don't know, maybe they're just running around an abandoned warehouse that they're really not even supposed to be into, and we might get run out today. So like.
We do that on our off days.
Oh, okay. That's I came on the wrong day then. I apologize for that.
Yeah,
But-
we put on the fishnets and the heavy makeup and go in abandoned warehouses and we all have fun.
Oh, so that's what roller derby is. Okay, I would for sure it was. But anyways, like because you said elbowing is not part of the rules and stuff like that. Like I said, it obviously shows that people don't have an idea of what roller derby is. Maybe just give an overview of what it is they would see as far as the rules, the objective, and stuff like that. Like, because obviously they just have that perception of girls hitting each other on skates. So.
So there is one girl, she's the point scorer, she's called a jammer. Her focus is getting through the pack. The pack is made up of 4 of the jammer's teammates, but then obviously 4 of the opposing blockers. Oh, yes. The jammers wear this lovely, what we call a panty. She puts it on her helmet.
Which is, it's some sort of spandexy thing.
Spandexy thing, yes.
That's also what we wear on our legs, our spandexy things.
Yes,
Spandexy
me
things
too.
all over.
Yeah.
So I would be a jammer. My focus would be getting through that pack. Every opposing blocker that I pass, I earn a point for my team. So obviously my blockers want to help me get through the pack. Unfortunately, there is a jammer from the other team also trying to do the same thing. So blockers have this amazing task of trying to play offense and defense at the same time, quickly shifting priorities to block the other jammer from getting through, but to help their jammer getting through. The first time the jammer goes through, or the jammers fight through, they're determining who is the lead jammer. The lead jammer has the luxury of calling off the jam or ending that session. So a 60-minute bout is broken into 2 periods, and periods are halves, are broken into jams. The jams are max out at 2 minutes. Does that, I think I kind of went all of the details.
That's
here.
perfect.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's and a little bit about the scoring and so you're trying to block her. That's what all the other skaters, they're called blockers. Their job's to block. But they can hit with their butts, their backs. They can hit with upper arm. They cannot hit below the knees. They cannot hit anybody in the back. They cannot trip them. They can't hit them in the
This is
head.
free reign, though.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful real estate.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's basically just nudging, like almost like linemen in a sense.
Yeah, I mean there are some pretty big hits. We've moved away from like the big hits, which I know the fans love, but there are still some like big wind up, like out of nowhere, pick a girl up off the floor and drop her out of bounds kind of things. But usually there's a lot more positional blocking. There's a lot more getting in front of a skater and slowing her down so that she can be reabsorbed into your team's wall,
Okay.
as it were.
So it's kind of the way it is.
Yeah, and what's kind of changed with that, and I mean, there's a lot of devastating hits. Like, people are like, why don't you elbow? Well, an elbow doesn't actually do something. You can devastate somebody using a body check and the momentum that they have if they're coming in fast. But the other thing that's really interesting to watch when there are walls that are really trying to slow you down is that jammers have to be a lot more agile. There's a lot more spinning. There's a lot more jumping. Like, it's amazing what people have been able to do with jumping and even turning while jumping. That is something that I really enjoy seeing in current roller derby. It's very dynamic. There's changes in direction. So that's really enjoyable. But yeah, elbows elbows don't really do anything. It's all about like the full body check. And like I said, blockers, I always tell people like go for the soft parts. It's amazing like how much you can take someone out of something if you get them in the front.
Yeah, and take them up
Yeah.
off their feet and stuff like that.
Yeah. Screw like the side checks. Like
Come head
get them
on.
in the stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does hurt.
Anyway.
All right, but so obviously your jammer, you want them to be your most nimble skater. I'm imagining.
There's a couple of different schools of jamming, and I think that evasive and aggressive. This was something put to us by Kamikaze Kitten, who skates for the London Roller Girls. Evasive jammers are those ones they're usually smaller, they're light on their feet, they're thinner sometimes, and they're able to jump and sort of change direction. And then there's what we call aggressive jammers, which I'm a jammer. I'm more of an aggressive jammer. I have some footwork sometimes, but I'm usually more surprised by it than anybody else. And what I'm able to do is get around a hit or be able to dig in hard enough that I can take the hit and it won't take me down and it won't take me out of bounds. And I'll use a little bit of the momentum to skate out of, a blocker trying to hit me.
Okay. And so obviously avoiding contact is kind of the idea of that. And as far as we're talking about contact, I keep getting drawn to your ladies' knee braces because I just purchased one myself. Recently, that's got all the hinges with it and stuff like that. What do you walk around with there?
This is a Playmaker by Dawn Joy. My injury, though it is totally a roller derby injury, didn't get it at all from roller derby.
So it's always like that.
I drive a scooter. I was on my way to an event. We were going to appear at Discovery Place, and I was turning onto Tryon, and this truck came flying out of nowhere. I went to slam on my brakes, but it had been pouring rain, and the roads were wet, and I just kind of lost balance and tipped over. And outside impact tore my ACL completely and most of my MCL. Oof. So the doctor was like, so that's kind of a roller derby injury, and you got it from driving. And I was like, I got a concussion skating back from the bathroom.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm off skates for a little while. I have surgery on Wednesday, and then it's going to be a long recovery process. But I have several teammates and friends who've gone through ACL reconstruction, so good support system.
Yeah, so you're looking at probably like a surgery that's going to take about a year and the recovery for that.
6 months, I think, is about the recovery time before I'll be back on skates.
Never told a girl she's going to be off skates for a year.
Okay. I'm sorry.
We go to health professionals who, especially like Ortho Carolina,
Who sponsor us.
who are sponsors of the Charlotte Roller Girls, who Dr. Peters, who's our team chiropractor, and they know that our objective is getting back on the track. And it verges on crazy sometimes, that we're, Thor Loser is out with a bad back right now and insists on leading off skates and making decisions that maybe prolong our overall health but get us back onto the track sooner. And I tend to not listen to doctors who are like, oh, you'll never skate again, or it's going to be a year or a year and a half before you can skate again, because that to a roller girl is an unacceptable answer. So just be careful.
I'm already timing it. Like I'm timing, okay, yep, July 15th is my surgery. I'll be back on skates probably right when we get back from break. I'm going to go ahead and schedule, because we have to take yearly assessments. I'm going to go ahead and schedule an assessment for when I get back and be able to figure all this out. Yeah. I don't plan to miss much of next season at all.
Yeah, because I too went to Ortho Carolina because I have a torn ACL right now too.
Oh, no. So
I'm going through kind of what you're going through right now, and like as a wrestler, it's it's what you want to do, and that's what you guys. It's all a passion for what you guys want to do, and you have to really decide. It's like when you try and tell your friends who live normal lives, they don't understand that.
No.
They don't understand that this is what I want to do. And
why do you keep doing that?
Yes. Yeah. and then there's always that idea of quality of life and everything else. And, they always discuss that, so that's the thing is like you got to figure out what you can and can't do and stuff like that.
My quality of life is terrible when I'm not able to skate.
True.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's just bad.
Yeah.
What is quality of life if you're not doing something you love?
Yeah.
I could live longer without bacon, but I wouldn't be as happy.
Okay, well, you're not wrong there. You're definitely not wrong there. But anyways, ladies, as far as like your leagues here, like who are you playing against? Like, and you just talked about assessments and stuff like that. Is there a larger governing body that you're part of?
Yeah, Calculator here, Caitlin, referenced it. The Women's Flat Track Derby Association. They are the largest governing body in the sport. They have it's over 250 member leagues now, and they are worldwide. Roller derby is the fastest growing sport in the world. They are accepting international members every day. We played an international team. We played a team from Sweden twice now. But we play, hopefully, teams that are either similarly ranked, or we want to play teams that are higher ranked than us to be able to compete for rankings. And we play in what we call sanctioned games, and those count toward our rankings. And there's a really complicated algorithm that I cannot even fathom. Yes, we want to get all the points in this game. That's really what I can grasp from it. But we play teams, we've been hovering between 90 and 98 all season in the rankings. Mm-hmm. So we want to play teams that are a little bit higher ranked, and we want to put up an impressive score against them. There is a kind of for dummies website, it's Flat Track Stats, and they put up like a prediction for each game and what they think the score ratio will be and which team has an expected chance of winning. So then after the game, they come back and say, so-and-so exceeded expectation by scoring this ratio of points. So that's a little easier to understand. We really want to maximize the number of points that we're scoring and minimize what the opponent is scoring to be able to improve the rankings.
So that's the big picture, is that we're usually playing teams from across North Carolina, from the region. We played Sweden. We play whoever we can schedule a game with. We also play each other. So our last home bout was a Charlotte Roller Girls versus Charlotte Roller Girls bout, and it got nasty because we scrimmage with each other. We're teammates. We're regularly in scrimmage playing against each other.
Comfort level's high.
Yeah, well, it's high, but it was amazing how aggressive we got because we know those other girls.
Yeah. Also, I think that, when the lights come on at Grady Cole, you always go harder.
Yeah. So that was a really fun bout, and we might have another one of those Charlotte Roller Girls versus Charlotte Roller Girls later in the season. And it's fun for our fans too because they get to see twice as many girls on the track at one time that they know. Mm-hmm. So that was fun.
Okay, well, you just mentioned the Grady Cole Center. Is that where most of your bouts take place?
That is where absolutely all of our bouts take place. Okay. All of our home games are at Grady Cole. They have been since we've been there for 4 years, 6, 5, we've been there a long time, and they've been really accommodating for us. We have a sport court floor that they store there. I really think that it is one of the better venues for roller derby because you have both bleachers downstairs and then you have the right next to the track suicide seating. Mm-hmm. But there's also that fabulous mezzanine that you can sit up there and just watch the whole action.
I can imagine that being, and it's almost like shaped perfectly.
Yeah,
for,
absolutely.
Yeah, like
and then
it's more of a rectangle than it is a square.
There's a stage for halftime acts. It's perfect.
Yeah, it really seems like it would be set up perfectly for you guys and stuff like that. Now, what type of a drawing? Like, how many people are coming out to see you guys on a regular basis?
Max capacity with our floor set is 1,300 people. Mm-hmm. And we usually have 800 or so at games. We have had some sellouts. Our first game this year, we definitely were upwards of 1,100, I believe. Mm-hmm. Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And as far as like some of the other people you playing and stuff like that, like at least in the North Carolina, like what type of venues are they at? Like
random ones.
Carolina in Raleigh has a beautiful. They play in Dorton Arena. So
that's where I was getting to.
As a kid, I saw
like
the circus there. So then to get to skate on that track, it was so beautiful. I love that venue.
But the NC State Fair takes place in October, and they can't schedule anything.
That's true
because it is on the fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of
teams play in
roller rinks or Asheville's in the Cellular Center, which I think is like a big arena where bands come. Yeah. But sometimes they're downtown in the Civic Center. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of skating rinks. There's a lot of teams that are losing their practice their bouting venues. Charleston, South Carolina, the Low Country High Rollers used to bout at a facility at the Citadel, the military college, and it was a really amazing place. It was super great seating for all the fans, great lighting, and they lost that. They've been bouting in skating rinks.
Now, you guys were talking about Sweden, like you guys competed against them.
Yep, Crime City from Malmö, Sweden.
They are so nice and so mean. Well, they're really lovely people, but they were just hard hitting. And then you'd line up on the line at the beginning of a jam, and you couldn't be mad at them because they're just such lovely people.
They're smiling. They're saying thank you. We traditionally give a victory lap where we high five everybody, and they're like, no hugs. We're going to hug you. We played them twice now. They're super nice. We partied with them afterwards. We went out to the after party, and they're nice.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like logistically, how does all that work? How does it come to be? They just send an email, I'm like, hey, we're a Sweden team. We would like to play.
That was a tournament style invitational. We've done a couple of those. That was Beach Brawl, which is held by the Gold Coast Derby girls down in Fort Lauderdale. We also did ECDX, the East Coast Derby Extravaganza, hosted by Philly last year. International teams don't have a lot of chances to play to improve their rankings, so they try to make the most out of it. So Malmo, and there's another team from Sweden, Kallia Rolling Rainbows, and Nidaros from Trondheim, Norway. They came over, and they're going to try and schedule as many opponents as possible. They're going to come over, they're going to play any teams in the area. They might, come over and try and play some teams in Georgia and South Carolina, just to go ahead and maximize the trip. Victorian Roller Derby from Australia, they're in like the top 10 these days, and they came last year. I don't even know how they did it. They came for ECDX in June. They came back for a tournament. Yeah, they came back for a D1 tournament, divisional tournament, and then they came back for championships. Like, they must have an airline as a sponsor, and each time they're coming and trying to play as many games as possible. They're going to stay an extra week, either before or afterward, and schedule games with highly ranked opponents in the area where the tournament is.
Okay. It sounds pretty similar to like when people, at least when independent wrestlers go overseas and stuff like that. Like, I know a lot of wrestlers that go over to like Europe, and they'll do the whole route to the UK, Germany, Austria, and do a big loop around that way. And they always talk about merchandise being a big thing. Does merchandise play a big part in what you guys do and stuff like that, and part of your revenue, or is it basically gate? Like how do you guys fund this?
Our biggest seller, our biggest budget item that generates revenue is the bouts. Mm-hmm. Merch is definitely a big part of it. We want people out there wearing our shirts. We sell a lot of shirts. We sell a lot of shirts to ourselves, and we sell a lot of shirts to opposing teams as well. It's fun to have a collection of opposing teams' shirts. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the biggest moneymaker is our bouts.
But we also fund ourselves. We pay money every month in order to keep the warehouse up, in order to pay for marketing, things like that. So we pay dues. We mostly buy our own jerseys. I haven't had the chance to buy a jersey yet, but eventually. And
we do fundraisers to try and offset that cost.
All of our gear, every skater's responsible for their own gear, which is upwards $1,000, $2,000, depending on what you're.
When you get there, you can start out pretty inexpensively. You could start out for under $200, and it's not like you buy the $1,000 all at once. A year in, you're like, man, I need better skates. That might be $500. You know what? I really need a new helmet. That's $50. I mean, it does add up, but you can do it smartly. You can buy used gear from somebody who's stopped skating, outgrown it.
Yeah, right now I'm on used gear from somebody who left the league, and I'm hoping to get some new gear that fits a little better.
Okay. It seems like you're a very well-oiled machine that way, as far as like organization, stuff like that, which probably can come in handy when you guys travel to events. And I'm pretty sure we have the same travel agent when it comes to traveling around, maybe 4 to a room, 6 to a room, or however that works. Like, talk about like some of the travel. Like, how do you guys organize that? How do you guys? I have a hard enough time getting 4 dudes together just to make a road trip for 3 hours down the road.
Google Docs.
How do you guys get it all together for your team?
Google Docs is one. I have somebody that I affectionately call my mom, Bunsen, and she, because I'm kind of hard to wrangle sometimes, so she just makes sure that I know what is going on around me in general. We tend to kind of have that person that,
because you have to have that person that says, this is what's happening, this is where we're going to be. Make sure I don't care what you do between here, but you have to be here at this time.
Yeah, and we just kind of we learn how other people are. And I've been a captain many times. I've been a coach, the person that does have to kind of get the team moving together. And you just kind of look at what works for people. Some people are good at Google Docs. Some people need to be told 5 times every, you start early and get them used to the idea of stuff. And, ultimately we're a team, so we learn how to bring everyone together to, make everything work. But yeah, Google Docs is also a huge part.
There's a lot of repetition too. Our interleague coordinator sets the schedule. We find out when we can be in a venue for an away game, and then our captains go ahead and give us an arrival time. So then your carpool figures out, we usually have carpools. I've been traveling with the same people pretty much the entire time I've been bouting, at least one of them. So that's helpful too, is knowing somebody else's routine, knowing somebody else's car, knowing, what kind of snacks or what kind of food they like on the road. That's really important, being able to jive with somebody. But, having all that information, because then I say to the driver, hey, we need to be there at 1 p.m. We need to be there at 11:30. And she says, okay, we should leave Charlotte at such and such time.
Any travel mishaps along the way?
Well,
Any casualties? Anybody left behind?
This year earlier, one of our skaters forgot all her gear. Had her skates, forgot all her gear.
Yeah. And then we had someone forget their uniform.
Yeah.
And it literally came like the second we were gonna be skating out.
We had somebody who had to be picked up from. We played in Ithaca, New York a couple years ago, and she was flying into that airport, and she had to be picked up as we were doing our off skates warm ups, basically.
Okay. And as far as you said that you need that person sometimes to tell everybody this is where we're gonna be. Who is that den mother that is organizing all of that? Because usually it's one voice and usually works that way.
Yeah, she's moving.
Oh.
We had Rosie Cheeks for a number of years. She was our interleague coordinator, so she had that role of communicating with the opposing team, posting the time on our forum, having somebody cross-post it to our Facebook group, reminding people, fill out the Google Doc, showing up at practice and saying, here's my phone, fill out the Google Doc tonight. I'll fill it out for you if you can't figure it out.
Okay. So you have that one voice, and now you have to find
that role. That role's open.
That role's open. So which one of you girls are going to fight for it? Nobody wants it. It always works that way.
Jess and I both have kids of our own, so.
Because because you almost have to be a parent sometimes, and trying to get those people. I'm the den mother of my group, so I understand what that is, and that.
I range from really organized to complete shit show. So it's all dependent on the day. I can usually be responsible for other people, but when it comes to myself, I'm just like, I needed to do a thing. Ugh.
Well, also too, we're getting pretty close to the end here, and I don't want to take up too much of your ladies' time because you were very gracious with your time today after a very physical practice today. I just wouldn't mind going down the line. You guys kind of talk about something you want. One thing that you want somebody to know about the Charlotte Roller Girls that they may not know. I mean, you're ambassadors for a club, for a group of women doing something that they're very passionate about, and a lot of you have different walks of life where you're trying to tell people what it is you do. And I'm sure your stories and the way you pitch it to people is different to everybody. So maybe if we can kind of go down the line and talk. Sure. So maybe Jessica, go ahead and start.
I think for me, roller derby is. We're athletes and we practice hard and we are passionate about the sport. So I think it's a great confidence builder for anyone to be a part of.
I think the big thing is probably that it's really empowering, kind of piggybacking off of what Loco just said. Just looking at this bench, we're all from different walks of life. We're all very different as far as body types. You don't have to be a certain body type to be good at roller derby. One of the things I've learned is you just have to be able to go out there and try, and it sounds so cliche, but just give it your all. Go out there, not be afraid to fall. I think that's probably the one skill I have perfected so far. I fall very well. And not be afraid to fall and fall and fall again, and just keep trying. And it doesn't matter how small you are, how big you are, as long as you're willing to practice really hard.
Rita?
I think it's really interesting that roller derby is the only sport that when you think of an athlete, it's a woman. It is primarily a women's sport. There are men's teams popping up all over the place, but they're universally supportive of the women's sport. This is a women's sport first and foremost. We do it ourselves. I mean, really, the product that you're seeing is all of our hard work. So keep that in mind. Please come out and see us. It's worth your money.
I'm a transfer. I've been here less than a year, and I joined the Charlotte Roller Girls with the intention of retiring from competing and just, keeping my chops up because I can't quit skating. And I ended up kind of staying because the people here are just so incredible. Like, I was nobody knows me. I'm just this random person that came from somewhere else. And people just were so incredibly supportive. And it was just very hard to stay away. And that's something that I really enjoy about this sport is that we all kind of had to do it on our own, and we support each other. And you know, the whole thing, like, I was like nothing even remotely close to an athlete, and it was like my teammates and my peers, and sometimes people who could not necessarily coaches, but people who may not even skate as well as I could, that taught me so much. And I just love like the exchange of empowerment and the exchange of like information and confidence that like brings us all up. You know, I think it's the best thing I've ever done for myself. And I encourage anyone who wants to get involved to do it, even if it seems intimidating or it might seem like a long road. Like, you have other people that you're not doing it by yourself.
The number of people who say, you know, oh, I could never do roller derby, and then they say, oh, well, I don't know how to skate, or I don't have time, or I'm a parent, or my work's too demanding, or if I broke my leg, I wouldn't know what to do. You know, my work would hate me. But all of those people are the people who should come and do it 3 times. You know, once to get the scareds out, twice to just mess up and set your goals, and then 3 times to have a successful practice. And you catch this bug that's just intoxicating. It's like, I have to go back and I have to perfect that turning toe stop, or I have to get faster, I have to do 27 and 7, or I have to beat a salty next time we do that drill. And I think that I hope that everyone has an opportunity to participate in something that it brings me to life. I mean, it really makes my life more full. And the networking community of women that I've been able to work with, and there are some fantastic men as our refs as well, but this community is something that I couldn't have found anywhere else. You know, I don't have it at work, I don't have it with my family. It's this really strange, mismatched group of amazing people, and I know that I can lean on them and ask for the strangest things. Hey, does anybody have a hacksaw that I could borrow tomorrow? We need a pressure washer. Does anybody know how to crack my back? Hey, Poco, can you come dress this wound? You know, it's like just an amazing support system.
Well, that was absolutely wonderful by all you ladies. You are wonderful ambassadors of this sport that brings women together in a wonderful community doing something very positive. And I can't thank you enough for your time today. You guys are all wonderful and professional people, and I can't thank you enough for just taking time out of your day, especially this Sunday in a very hot arena after a very grueling practice, to talk to me today. So thank you so much for your time, and this has been wonderful. I'm glad you guys
to
made
do
time.
it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.